My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And I'm Sweet Baby James, otherwise known as James Maynard.
And tonight I'm going to talk about don't judge your part as too small. Just do it well. I promised you I was going to talk about this, and I'm actually going to do it. So there. But before I do, let's, Sweet Baby James, introduce you to our show.
Well, welcome once again to Inner Revolution, changing the world from the inside out, where we have the opportunity to hear Granny Beth's wit, wisdom, and very uncommon sense every Monday and Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. So without further ado, take it away, Granny.
Okay. I just want to make a note to myself. Okay. Let me screw things up royally for you tonight. So, on our last show, those of you who were watching on Monday, you may remember, or you may not remember, that I closed with a statement, and I promised I would talk about it tonight. Do you remember that I did that?
Yes, I do.
I do too. And it's been haunting me because I thought, oh my God, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about something else. But anyway, I have made a commitment and I'm going to follow through. And this was the statement that I said I was going to talk about. And it came from the masters. And I'm going to talk about the masters in a minute too. And we'll all laugh together, I hope. I think I'm looking at you. So
yes.
The statement was, it was at a meeting that I was leading back in 2011.
That's right.
And I'm an intuitive. I get the inner voice. So the inner voice told me to say a whole bunch of stuff to the people who were there. We had a nice gathering. And one of the statements was, you are a very small part of a vast evolution. Be happy about that, but carry your burden well. Mm-hmm. And that came to me. Elizabeth said hi and sent a heart. Thank you. Hearts to you. Do I seem to be looking at people? And Tracy said hello. Hello, Tracy. And
hi,
Amy
Tracy.
said hi, you too. And
hi, Amy.
Hi, you won. Hi, you won back. So before I go on with the meaning of the statement, I want to point out the divine irony in this statement. What do I mean by the masters? Who am I talking about? I don't mean like back in, the time, like 150 years ago when someone said, oh, Master Rodney, there's a who happens to be the son of the Lord. Or anyway, that's not what I mean. So some people believe that there are entities or energies that carry higher consciousness on the planet. And some people call them masters. Some people would say that Jesus was a master or Buddha was a master. I mean, it is true that some people are smarter than others in terms of being conscious. Nick said, great as always. Thank you, Nick. And Juma's here in person. Good morning, dear ma'am and sir. And good morning, Juma. I feel surrounded by friends. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. So, okay, so let's say there is such a thing. I don't know. All I know is I hear an inner voice, and so I used to, I don't call it the masters anymore, but in those days I did. I called it the masters, okay. And it came from a higher consciousness than myself, bigger than me. So isn't it ironic that I'm getting this message here that I'm going to give to you, which is, don't judge your part as too small, just do it well. And I'm trying to impress you with the fact that, or the universe is trying to impress the people there with the fact that it came from the statement, came from the masters. See, the masters are bigger than we are. And they're telling us that we shouldn't be judging how small we are. We should just do our job well. I could have turned around and said to them, well, why are you calling yourself a master then? Why don't you just see yourself as a very small part of a vast evolution also? Anyway, I hope you're laughing with me or have even been able to follow what I'm saying. Oh, Ali is speaking to us in Turkish, and I won't be able to understand his message until after the show.
He does say good morning.
He did say good morning. And we're very happy to see you. So, isn't this kind of funny? So, those of us who believe in the masters, somebody bigger than us, right? The Donald Trump of eternity, or the Bernie Sanders or whomever, right? Those of us who believe in masters are going to listen to this statement because it came from the masters, even if the statement is nonsense. And some won't listen at all because it didn't come from someone they respect. In neither case are people looking at the statement's intrinsic value. See? Get what I'm saying? And yet we're being guided to accept the fact that we are a very small part of a vast evolution. And Debbie is here, and she says, hi, Beth and James, and hi, Debbie. Oh, maybe that means that you don't have to rush off to work and you can stay with us for a while. That would be so nice. Anyway, so moving right along, back to what I'm trying to talk about. So you're a very small part of a vast evolution. Well, evolution is pretty big. Species evolve over time. Galaxies evolve over. I mean, when you think about it, when you think about the universe, no matter how big I think I am, or I think Elvis Presley was, we are minuscule, right? We're even minuscule in the history of humanity. There's hundreds of thousands of years of history of people that we'll never even know about.
True.
Right? And that in enough time, nobody will know about us either. So Todd said another great topic. Thank you. I'm so glad that you're enjoying it. We're laughing together. So, but let's say how we feel. How do we feel? Because last time I talked about owning our gifts. Do we own our gifts? What are they? And do we embrace them or do we fight them? We want to be something else. So this is a perfect, companion piece. Debbie said, I wished, headed to work soon. Darn. We'll watch this tomorrow. Okay, well, I can't wait till tomorrow. Be careful. Don't have an accident. We need you. So anyway, so let's come back to very small part. Very small part of a vast evolution. Very small.
Yeah.
That means, James, you are a very small part of a vast evolution. And
I accept that.
And oh, yeah. Since when? 2 minutes ago?
Well, there is a vast evolution. I'm a small figure in that
very
vast.
Small part.
You don't have to emphasize the very.
Okay. Many of us, it's very insulting, very small part. I mean, every one of us wants to be important, right? That goes back to the ego. I've talked about that before, how the ego works, and if we're important, people will take care of our needs, etc. But I just want to talk about this part. Many of us have the idea that bigger is better, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, some men think of that about themselves, whether it's their muscles or, their other muscle. But bigger is not necessarily better, but the whole idea that bigger is better can also apply in our minds to our role or part in life. For example, I don't want to be, a musician who plays for 3 people. I want to play for 3,000 people or 30,000 people or 300,000 people. So, okay, James, what would you rather have? Tell the truth. Would you rather have an audience of 5, 500, 5,000, or 50,000?
I'd say 50,000.
Okay, there's what I mean. Okay, so what is the reality? Well, hopefully, I'm going to be questioning that whole idea because I want to look at parts of our society that we don't necessarily give credence to. But before that, I want to remind everyone that the reality is, are you sitting down, whoever you are out there, everything is a small part of a vast evolution. Everything. Even if you were a very big composer in the 17th century France, hardly anybody knows about you now. I mean, there's always the specialists in 17th century French, Baroque or whatever. Now, pop stars are no different. We think our pop stars are God-like creatures. Believe me, in 100 years and 200 years, it's like, who? Madonna, who? Or maybe there will be a few that will stand out and the rest will be forgotten. And, you know, and in hundreds of years and in thousands of years, the fact is we don't even know if our planet is going to be viable in 50 years for us to even have a society that's going to remember any of us. So let's say you are a very important person, a big person, such as you are the president, right? You're the president. Well, I'm going to ask you, honestly, guys, how many of you know anything about our presidents other than a few? Now, I'm talking about in the U.S., but the same would be true wherever you are in the world. How many know anything beyond maybe George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, FDR, and Franklin Roosevelt, and even they, in a few hundred years, who will remember or who care about Abraham Lincoln? I mean, you know, as I say, by that time we may not even exist as a species. So now let's look at what our parts really are, and let us do our part well. For example, let's say you're kind of an insignificant guy. You're a garbage collector, sanitation engineer, right? How to make it sound bigger than it, you know, rather than being a garbage collector. It's not good enough to collect garbage. You have to be engineering sanitation. Well, you may think of your part as small if you're a garbage collector, but without you, the streets would be teeming with garbage and people would sicken and die. I was in Jamaica in the West Indies, I don't know, in the 70s. I don't even remember if that's, 40 some odd years ago. And there was a garbage strike. Trust me, the garbage collector was, in fact, the most important person in that society at that moment, much more important than, you know, whoever the president was or the prime minister or whoever it was. Anyway, see, I don't even remember whether they had a president or prime minister, but I do remember that the garbage collectors were on strike.
Well, that happened in New York City, too.
Yes.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing.
People were desperate to have that garbage collector
Absolutely
back to work.
So and so a garbage collector can have a bigger impact on more people than a lot of presidents of corporations that make things that nobody needs. Or what if you're just a kindergarten teacher, right? I mean, how many of you have heard that? Well, you can make a huge difference in the lives of a few. Yeah, maybe you only have a couple of kids a semester, if they do semesters, and I think they do semesters, right? But you can make a huge difference in the lives of those children. And you know something? If you don't see the value of what you're doing as that kindergarten teacher, you aren't seeing the value of those kids either, because their fates don't seem to be big enough to matter. Now let's take a look at the chronically ill. So you can say, well, I'm chronically ill, I'm disabled, I can't even work inside the house, outside the house. How can I play my part well? You know, talk about feeling small. You know, who sees my value? Let me see if there's a... Island says, we'll come back to watch. That's great, Island. Well, actually, if you're chronically ill and you're disabled and you can't work inside or outside the home, if someone is taking care of you, maybe they need you more than you need them. Maybe they need to feel valued, and that person's help for you gives them a feeling of value. So not only is the caregiver a big person in the life of that individual, but that individual is helping that caregiver to feel important. So whether you're in a hospital, an institution, at home, don't ever think that you're not important. Your life can give great meaning. Now, I'm very, very serious about this. I have a tendency to always want to do more and be bigger than I am. If I'm doing that, I'm not taking care of my audience right here on Facebook because I'm busy thinking about why I don't have thousands of fans or hundreds of thousands of fans, right? If I think I should be bigger than Oprah Winfrey and Rush Limbaugh combined, am I going to be focusing on serving you, my Facebook audience, or am I going to be always looking for that opportunity to make a move to something big, bigger? Now, when I got this message that we are a very small part of a vast evolution, that was because I and my organization of volunteers have been, and I've always been this way, trying to help alleviate suffering on the planet or helping to bring forward a higher consciousness, a greater consciousness. Let's see. Todd, me too. I want to be bigger than I am. I am that. Thank you for sharing that, Todd.
Yeah, I have that too.
So I was part of a very small nonprofit organization. We were promoting oneness, accountability, mutual support. The same thing I'm doing now. Inner revolution, becoming more conscious. I didn't have a big following. Guess what? I still don't. And so the message was that the evolution of consciousness is what's happening. Even if our planet, the people on it, destroy the very environment which we need to survive. We are one planet, one star, one galaxy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the vastness of the universe, we're pretty small. I don't care how big a rock star you are. We're pretty small. And it's all going to, some meteorite is going to come down, or asteroid, or whatever it is. It's going to come down, or alien is going to come down and wipe us all out anyway. But consciousness, the universe, whatever that is that I can't even identify, will continue, and it will continue to evolve as the universe keeps growing and evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that we hold big is nothing. So that's what I was being reminded of.
It's not nothing, but it's very small. It has value.
Well,
to us or to somebody.
It's pretty much nothing. But
it's a speck.
But something. For those who are impacted by you, it has huge value.
Yes.
We can hold that contradiction in our heads, can't we?
Mm-hmm.
I am a speck. And yet what I do can matter to someone. And why is one person any less valuable than a million people when you look at it in terms of the universe and how vast it is and the billions and billions and billions of people who are on this earth today? Now, I just want to address one more thing before I go. In the statement, it said, carry your burden well. Now, why the message? Oh, and Ollie wrote another incomprehensible comment. Thank you, though, for sending us your comment. Why is it a burden? Well, because it is. Because work is tiring. If you are carrying any part of the world on your back, whether it's taking care of a child or sitting in a typing pool, if they have typing pools anymore, they probably do with computers, or being an administrative assistant, or making license plates in a prison. Everything takes energy and effort. And so if you think about it that way, you can understand that everything that we are meant to do is burdensome. We have something to carry, and we're told to carry our burden well. That means give it your all. So don't judge your part as too small or too insignificant, even if the world does judge it that way. Just do it well. And when you go to sleep at night, if you can sleep, you can feel that you've done your job well. I hope this helps every one of you, no matter how large or small, my audience. I love you, and we will be back on Monday for Inner Revolution. And we will also be back Thursday, which is tomorrow. So we'll be back Monday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time for Inner Revolution, for whatever I'm going to talk about then. And tomorrow night, I will be playing the piano for you, playing Dreams of Peace. And I don't know how many people will be listening, but I am going to play my heart out for you. I will carry my burden well. Let's make that commitment right now to ourselves and to one another. You can even repeat these words. I will carry my burden well.
I will carry my burden well.
And stop looking, having one eye out for the bigger opportunity.
And stop having one eye out for the bigger opportunity.
Right. Just do what's presented to you, what the universe asks of you, with the resources that the universe gives you. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.